sandwiches.
Yeah, SSL Challenge here. We're about halfway done with our games tonight. We got 2 more, 1 TVT and then 1 PVT. And this one is going to be TY versus Ryung. So one of the highlight matches of the night.
Yeah, guys, this is going to be super sick. Just as by way of plugging our other SSL content, I was looking through the advertisement. The fact that Innovation is going to play BL on Monday is just like Craig-gasm-inducing. But yeah, also super. Feels like I'm super loud now. I don't know if I kicked the volume button or something. Either way, yeah, it's going to be super sick coming up here. TY, one of the 4 Terran horsemen of the Imbalance Apocalypse, trying to make Terran look super busted, and they do it every game. TY, the $400,000 man, wins in one tournament more than SOS has won $100,000 tournaments in his life. So really big accomplishment for that guy, and it really, I think, sort of pounded home just how super sick he is. But he's down here in SSL Challenge, and that means that either he belongs here, and we'll find that out. Is he a fraud, or is he just going to stomp his way all the way to SSL Premier? I think that is inevitably in his future. He is just so good.
I think that's the answer we're all looking for. I mean, he's already qualified for the second stage. Winning against Ryung would just be icing on the cake. Would put him in a better situation, I think, going into it. Would give him some more money.
Yeah, now the thing is, and I was watching a lot of, I guess you want to call it banter amongst the online community, and a lot of people who are Ryung fans were saying, wait a second, we know that TY is good, but this Ryung guy is a TVT badass. And I definitely agree with that. He has always been very well respected for his Terran versus Terran, so even though he may not be right up there in the top 4 Terran players in the world, I mean, you really have to look at this guy as possibly the next, even if it's just in this one matchup, definitely one of the scariest players to play against as Terran.
Yeah, I would be pretty scared to be playing against Ryung. I mean, Ryung was a guy that could beat Maru when Maru was in his prime, and always has been so good at this matchup.
Wasn't Maru on prime for a while?
He was, yeah. And also in his prime, which you can't really say about him now because
I don't think he was
not doing very well.
I don't think he was in his prime on prime, but he did definitely ascend to his prime much later on. So
there's different periods in his life. There, when he was on Team Prime, and then after that when he was in his prime, and now he is maybe perhaps out of his prime. I don't know. He just hasn't had the best. I mean, Maru hasn't really been the best individual league player. He was always like a super powerhouse in Pro League.
Oh yeah, man. I think he had, like, along with Hero, like one of the best records in Pro League ever in the history of Pro League. So
pretty good. Pretty good. Either way, not talking about Maru here. We're talking about 2 other Terrans. TY.
We're going to just forget the one loss that he had for all of his battle cruiser shenanigans versus Classic in Week 1. Because we're coming in now to Week 5, and this guy is so good. Lots of wins, and I would expect maybe a win here tonight. But if there is any player in the SSL Classic or Challenge, I keep doing that. I did it last week, doing it this week.
You're going to be doing it for life.
Yeah, man. You just tell it.
You're going to esports jail for life.
E-Sports jail?
Yeah.
There we go.
That one.
All right, but if there is anyone that can take TY out, it's going to be his opponent over here, Probius. I really feel like Probius single-handedly is capable. All right, yeah, it's Ryung, and TVT Badass always has been mentored by Slayer's Boxer back in the day, and it's like the Pokemon ability Future Sight. A few turns later, and it's all coming home.
Yeah, and one of these losses that he has taken is actually against Classic, the 0-2, where he got Protossed. Just kind of got build order. He took build order losses twice, 2 games in a row. It was, I think, the shortest series we've had so far in SSL Challenge.
It was not fun to watch if you were a Terran player. Classic, really good, oddly enough, against all of these Terran players. He showed it again tonight, and he's beaten both of these guys. I mean, if you had to be good against one other race, I feel like being good against Terran, especially in the SSL Challenge, is just so worthwhile, because I think there are 5 Terrans here. So Classic just bopping them on through, advancing to the next round, more likely than not, and doing it against some of the best Terran players in the world.
Yeah. pretty good time to be good against Terran. That's for sure. It's very nice.
Well, which Terran will be good against their own race? We're about to find out, and I really feel like this is going to set the tone for the rest of the Terran games tonight. We've already watched one epic TVT, and I think we have another one on the way. TY versus Ryung. Get your liquid bets in there. Place your decide whether or not you think TY can take it home, or if Ryung can be the TVT badass we all know he is. Fly, better fly, Janair.
I still haven't flown Janair. Well, hold that thought. Up in the top left is TY, and his opponent in the bottom right is, of course, Ryung. And have you flied Janair yet?
Have I flied Janair?
Have you flowed?
Have I done being flown?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Not yet?
I hear like you can get really good trips down to like a Jeju Island and stuff.
Yeah, I think they mostly do local stuff, especially because they are part of, you know, Korean Air.
Yeah, domestic. So one of these days, I'm sure I will fly on Janair. Make sure to bring all the Janair players, like player trading cards, with me.
I want to fly on the SOS plane.
Oh my god,
that's my dream in life.
I want to fly on the Effort plane on Korean Air.
Yeah,
like, that would be super sick. Oh my god! All right, bucket list, guys. Well, let's go ahead and talk about this game. It's going to be a TVT. I was watching TVTs earlier today in GSL. It was Alive versus Gumiho. But neither one of those players really, you know, both of them play very different styles, and especially different styles from TY. So it's going to be cool to see what the divergence is in this mirror match. Already scouting here, Ryung setting his SCV out just to find out what is in his cards.
TY was going up to 700 APM. I don't even know how that's possible. Like, even with spamming.
I mean, if we didn't have player cameras here, I would have thought he had just, like, put his face down on the keyboard and it was just registering everying all the time.
Swiping his hand back and forth on his keyboard. He's got red switches. It's easy.
That's the super secret strat.
Otherwise known as face rolling, but with your hand. I'm so excited for this series. This is going to be a really close one, I think. I don't even really know who to give it to.
I really have a lot of faith in Ryung's TVT. I just can't say enough good things about that guy. For TY, I think one of the things that makes him so great and one of the well-deserving members of like those top 4 Terran badasses right now is that he's so good in a diverse amount of situations in every single matchup. But if you have to be good in a specific one, we're about to find out if he is. And so moving forward, the first casualty there taken by Ryung, but see if he can find another one. I think he is one hit ahead on those Reaper versus Reaper, so oh no, coming back and tagging him. TY with the sick micro will push Ryung back.
Yeah, that Reaper was doing a dance. He was really excited for that fight. He got his one moment of fame in this game. And now Mr. Hellion is going to join him on the ramp. Looks like he'll actually push out. Mirror builds so far for both of these players. Except, yeah, no, exactly mirrored so far.
Yeah, a little faster command center there by TY, or orbital by TY, but faster command center by Ryung. I'm just kind of making these stats up, guys. It's only one at a time, but here we finally find a divergence, which was a terrible movie. Siege Tank coming out from TY.
Yeah, don't watch that movie. I'd have to agree.
Movies like that and like the Twilight series just send that shiver down my spine. Someone somewhere
just leave with a nasty taste in your mouth. You're like, this wasn't a 4D movie, right? With some weird stuff they like sprayed in my mouth. You know what I mean?
What? What are you talking about?
Anyway, we got a Raven on the way.
Has that ever happened to you?
No.
Okay, all right.
There's 4D stuff where they have like a little bit of water spray and then the seat moves and stuff. You never experienced that?
Someone was paid to come up with that idea. What a world we live in, Brendan. I don't know.
And it costs a lot more, too. It's not worth it. I did it once for the experience, and I'm like, nah, I mean, I'd rather just watch a movie normally. This is actually more distracting than it is immersive. So please, just give me my regular 2D movies, thanks.
All right. So diverging builds, we were talking about it. It's going to be 3 command centers up for both players, but double Ravens for Ryung, skipping that one siege tank that TY did come up with. So I don't really think he's going to get a lot of value off of going for an earlier siege tank. It just does kind of lock things down. And I think for TY, you definitely want to play a more standard game in this situation.
Yeah, I'm going to play it standard. I mean, we're sitting on Whirlwind cross spawns.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those ones where you kind of sit back and try to macro better than the other guy. You can drop a bit because the medevacs are so mobile that you can try to get in there. But so far, it just looks like both players are like, okay, I'm going to hope that he goes for some kind of drop and I can defend it. And as such, we've kind of just been watching these two players macro up.
So TY, if you ever look at his face, and even just on his player camera, always looks like he's kind of half asleep. He's just kind of a really chill, laid-back kind of player. But this tournament is actually played pretty late at night here in Korea. In fact, we're just hitting midnight over here. So when he came in, he was actually a little bit sleepy. And I was like, I asked him if he was sleepy, and he said yes. So I don't know if he maybe thought I was saying something else, or if he is actually maybe a little bit on the lower side, but there's nothing that'll quite pump you up like a game of StarCraft.
Yeah, StarCraft is one of those games where I can't play it right before I sleep because it's going to get my heart racing, you know, my mind racing, and generally you don't want those two things when you're trying to go to bed.
No, if you are in any way like inebriated or, you know, elucidated, whatever you... I meant sedated, not elucidated. That would actually be a good state of mind to be in if you're playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely need your full faculties in force when you are playing this game. And if you just look at the APM, man, TY, we don't really focus on the APM a lot because it's like, oh, no, you're pushing more buttons. But if you can consistently maintain that, it's actually just so badass. You can just do more stuff, and TY doing enough to establish his third base a little bit ahead of Ryung. Double Ravens, though, coming forward. Double auto turrets dropped. You will be able to take out a supply depot with them. So a little bit of damage done. I actually think we might be able to repair that supply depot just in time. But interesting build to go for the double Ravens early, and I don't think it's necessarily paid off quite as well as Ryung would have liked.
Yeah, just a bit of damage. As we were talking about before, there's no big move outs just yet. But as I say that, actually, Ryung looks like he's got a pretty big move out coming across the map here. He does control the watchtower. That's 3 tanks and a bunch of Marines. I don't see any medevacs. There's 2 coming right now. Okay, there we go. Whereas, actually, TY is focusing only on Vikings out of his starport. He actually hasn't made any medevacs just yet, but he has 5 Vikings.
Yeah, and I think really what that's going to mean is that we're focusing not necessarily on a complete mech transition, but setting up for one of those big siege situations. TY just sort of seeing what's coming and preparing very well for it. Ryung has stopped SCV production for the time. Okay, right. Okay. Thanks, Ryung. Thanks for stopping that and then starting it as soon as I mentioned it. Yeah, he actually had stopped, and really you don't want more than maybe 60 to 70 SCVs. These are pretty high counts for the most part, but it will be interesting to see whether or not this push out from Ryung is the right move, and he is pulling back to that watchtower. I wonder at which point you just say, okay, well, we're just going to play a passive macro game and go for like 5 bases with double armories behind it.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why they're going to such high counts in SCVs, because you want to maintain a bank and you want to get up to 200 supply as soon as possible. And then maybe later on you can sacrifice some SCVs.
One little thing I noticed, I think only Ryung's Marines have combat shields? Did I see that correctly?
It's a possibility. I mean, you know, players do make mistakes. You do see the combat shields pretty clearly on Ryung's Marines here. But let's take a look at TY's Marines. Thank you.
No, they do not have combat shields. So, wow, that will make a large difference. I don't know if I can quite say that that's a mistake, but you will need them eventually. They're on the way from TY, but that is a big deal. Here comes forward these Ravens, a big stim up by Ryung's Marines. Those combat shields really allowing them to tank through the tanks, push up for a lot of damage.
Really like the auto turrets to tank some tank shots too, and just delay the defense here from TY. Those Vikings really getting aggressive here, trying to take out a bunch of medevacs in the sky. And the Marines of Ryung were pushed back. Look at this huge follow-up from Ryung. He really wants to push the issue here at the third base.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have 6 Vikings than combat shields, Brendan. That is a big advantage for TY. It allows him to maintain his high ground advantage, keep his tanks in a spot where they will not be able to get siege crawled on. But look at how many Marines Ryung has from behind.
Yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous number right now. He's 10 ahead. It's actually pretty big.
Big pickup there by TY going into the double drop to try, I think that's a triple drop. Yeah, all Marines trying to fly around the map, and I think Ryung might have seen a little bit of an indication. He does have that sensor tower well positioned to scout this drop coming into his main. Or third base, fourth base. Well, it's third this time around.
Third, yeah.
Could have been his fourth. Either way, drops coming in from TY. We'll see if Ryung can defend it while also pushing in. Looks like Ryung is stimming in. A big Widow Mine will not only scout this out, but damage one of the medevacs. Ryung right now is stimmed into the third base. We don't know how well that's going.
To see that.
But here is the big drop from TY. It looks like it's going fantastically for
He took
Ryung.
out the orbital.
He did take out the orbital, but in the meantime, Ryung has lost 20 SCVs back in his main, but it does look like that drop is getting cleared up.
Yeah, if he can clear up that drop and only lose a bunch of SCVs for it on 4 orbitals, I think he's going to be really happy. He's going to have an extra mining base. TY trying to pull a little bit of Gumiho and say, okay, I'm just going to stim some Marines across the map while you're on my side of the map.
Okay, well, it looks like the drop was not quite cleared up, but using a sort of horseshoe formation to run back and forth between the main and the third base, really get a lot of damage done.
Trying to come in here. It's a really close fight. It looks like just barely TY is going to have enough to push this out.
That is really cool, but reinforcements, of course, inevitably coming in, and that'll force TY to pick up and get out.
So he did a nice bit of damage, but I feel like taking out that orbital is really, really nice for Ryung at the end of it all.
Oh, definitely. Behind that, though. Oh, no! And he will get the full medevac coming out, so not quite the move you're looking for from TY. He does have a solid worker advantage, but now 30 supply down just about when it comes to his army, and that will mean that there's a big blue ball coming all across the map into his fourth base.
This is so many tanks. He's going to stem them right at the bottom of the ramp. The tanks here for TY are late to siege. Comes on in, snipes down 2 of them. Eats a bit of damage from the tanks and the planetary.
I think Ryung should have continued on in there. I guess he expected TY to not be as late on the siege, but I think he could have gotten right up on top of there. Ryung, for some reason, running back, but maybe just a bait in.
The bait.
Yeah, the wait and bait.
Yeah, it was actually a really nice move because he was able to take out a bigger chunk at the end of it all. And now you can see that the army supply here for Ryung is a lot bigger. He's trying to come on in here, pressure the fourth, while sending a platoon of Marines.
There we go.
There we go.
That's what it's called.
I thought of it.
Some military buff is going to be like, well, it's actually more like a phalanx of Marines. Whatever that is. Don't you have to have a spears to have a phalanx? I don't know.
I think so.
History was not my strong point. I'm sure that based on the number of Marines, there's like an official designation for how many there are.
Yeah, is it like a squad?
If you guys are like history buffs out there,
platoon?
Let us know. What should we call a group of Marines? This is the interactive portion of the broadcast.
Barracks of Marines? No, that doesn't sound right. Maybe it's a squad. I think squad is good.
Hashtag squad goals. Here we go.
Squad goals over here is to take out this orbital. We'll see if he can do it.
He's done it once. We'll see if he can do it again. A lot of damage being done, and he does stim it down, picks up, gets out. A big snipe by Ryung.
And, I mean, Ryung, part of the reason why he's so good at TVT is he always knows where to pressure and when to pressure. The timing for him is so perfect to come on in there just when there's no units. Now he's going to take this fight in the middle of the map.
Yeah, big siege tank fire there from both sides. Does thin out the Marine numbers. For a while, TY was actually supply blocked after losing a couple of those supply depots. I think that siege tank back there for TY is taking fighting in the shade a little bit too literally, as the rally point is set it all the way over there. Another big siege up here. Looks like it's good for Ryung, and it will devastate TY's tank numbers. Stimming in from behind, Ryung with a sick flank forces out the GG.
Wow, what a play. And I have to say, I've seen that before from Ryung. That's exactly what he used to do to Maru, taking him out in some TVTs, and seems to be his go-to move at the end of it all. He picks and pulls apart his opponent, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to force a fight in the middle of the map, and I'm going to outmaneuver you, outposition you. And that was just Ryung putting on a really nice lesson in TVT. That was so fun to watch.
Yeah, really impressive to see not only TY and his very sort of slow and steady, solid methodology. Did go for a really cool drop that worked out, but Ryung just knew exactly what to do every step of the way. I mean, great macro, came out with crazy amounts of Marine, very Gumiho-esque in that regard. And yeah, the TVT sniper continues to take win after win against some of the best Terran players out there. So, yikes, this is going to be a very scary situation to find yourself in if you're TY. A lot of kind of burden of wearing the mantle of one of the best Terran players out there on your shoulders, going up against sort of the Terminator that is built to counter you. And I know maybe that's the title for innovation, but I mean, this guy is so good at TVT. Ryung just putting on a masterclass.
Yeah. And, I mean, TY himself is really good at TVT. His multitasking is always fantastic. His multi-drops and being 3 places at once is really where he got his name for being so strong, especially in this matchup. But in that game, he kind of was just on the defensive the entire time, and that is not how TY wins games, by defending and macroing up. He wins games by being aggressive, out-multitasking his opponent, and taking the win that way. So I feel like Ryung kind of took the ball into his court and said, okay, I'm going to take control of this game. I'm going to make you respond to me. And TY was struggling to keep up a little bit.
And then Ryung put the ball of Terran Marines in TY's court, and he was like, no, get this ball out of here. I want my more beach ball-sized ball of, what do you call that, happiness and Terran victory.
Stim.
Yeah, there we go. All right, well, it's going to bring us into game number 2. Whirlwind, very large map. We're going to be coming into, I believe, Abyssal Reef as our second map in this series. So it'll definitely change things up. You won't be able to have that kind of No Rush 20 style. But for TY, back up against the wall here, both of these players poised to make it into round number 2, trying to stop the other from advancing. So let's go ahead and get into game number 2.
Here we are on Abyssal Reef. Up here, hold that thought, Janair interrupting me. Thank you.
Way to go, Janair.
Up in the top left, it is the Red Terran TY.
But also thanks for sponsoring. There he is.
Thanks, Janair.
Big fan. TY is actually wearing a little bit of a green sweater, but in the blue, on the bottom right-hand corner of Abyssal Reef, the blue Terran player in the yellow TES Gaming jersey. This is Ryung.
So, another map where defending is not that hard at all. You saw Gumiho versus Jokji, where Gumiho was trying to defend and went for a really cool play where he stimmed his Marines, a ton of them, past Jokji's army into the main, and took out 2 orbitals, but still lost the game. So, gotta be careful with your big moves like that. Ryung coming on over here, he's being very meticulous with his scouting, making sure that no shenanigans are going on with any Reaper proxies or anything like that.
All right, I did get an update from our fabulous fan on Twitter, Kwani Whois, or whatever I'm supposed to pronounce there.
Kwani Whois, wow.
Yeah, says that a group of Marines is a company if it is 2 or more. A platoon is 100 to 250, so sometimes you do see over 100 Marines. Yeah. And then a troop is 2 or more squads of 16 to 50. So maybe troop is the best one. A troop of troops.
Command center.
Who came up with that one? Complete. I don't know.
I'm reading this too, actually. Platoon is 2 or more squads, 16 to 50. So doesn't that mean the squad is from 16 to 50?
I think that's probably a fair analysis for the number of Marines we see on an average.
Yeah, it's a squad.
Game.
So I was actually correct at the end.
Good for you, Brendan. You're so smart.
I know.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, squads of Marines, that's what we're going to go with. And it also should just show you the power that you have as viewers to impact the broadcast by tweeting at RapidCasting and at Brendan Valdez. So get out there and let us know groupings for different types of units. I wouldn't say a platoon or a troop or a squad of Zerglings, though, so maybe there's more animal designations for those that we can use. Either way, we're going to see the Reaper off. Who wins? Find out next time on Reaper versus Reaper. I also did get the answer to that question, which feels made up to me, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So we saw that Marine 1v1, as we do see relatively similar builds. Ryung going for the more defensive Cyclone will be used exactly so. Pushing forward and defending masterfully.
Whoa.
Taking that Hellion out. All right, so defense is successful. There we go. So in Marine versus Marine, apparently the computer, the AI, decides that the Marine that wins is the one that is built first.
Yeah.
So if you build a Marine at, say, 1 minute and 50 seconds, and your opponent builds a Marine at 1 minute and 51 seconds, and they both shoot at each other at exactly the same time, the Marine that is built first wins the fight. That seems ludicrous to me. Is that...
If they fire at the exact same time, I think it's not a bad
way
to do it.
That's like deciding the result of a tie based on who won the game in less time.
I think they should both die. I think that's the way it should happen. Because if they fire at the same time and they have the same rate of fire, then the bullet exits the gun.
Well, it's hit scan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just fire and then it hits, right? There's no travel time. So, I don't know, man.
But in the real world, but this is StarCraft. Anyway, we got a drop coming down here. He's trying to kill that Cyclone. It doesn't look like he could. The repair is good. TY will keep his Cyclone alive somehow, some way.
Yeah, you can only micro against a million SCVs repairing so much. Mine at the front took out the Reaper as it was trying to come in for a, I guess that's kind of a flank, because there was that drop in the main. But either way, drop boosting away from the very scary Viking, which might as well have a shark fin on it. Not only would it fit into Abyssal Reef, but it would also be the reaction I would have if I were a medevac running around. I guess there is already a shark here on this map, so shout out to you, Mr. Shark. Apparently it's not actually called a shark. There's like a super secret lore name for it. Reminds me of ESV Space Shark, one of my favorite Twitter accounts. What was the name of that map that had ESV Space Shark on it?
I don't remember.
That was actually a really... Was it Ghost Shores? I forget. I think it was. Like it was actually on 2 different maps. So if you guys know the maps that had the ESV Space Shark on it, let me know. Either way, a couple of cool things. One, cheeky mine positioning there by TY, who has positioned his mine on the right-hand side of his natural expansion there to catch ravens and drops from coming in. See if that is effective. And 2, different style coming up once again, an expansion on the way here for Ryung, whereas TY is going in for more of an army macro cycle.
Yeah, I like what Ryung's doing here. He's going to play it even more macro-heavy and greedy in the economic sense. He says to himself, okay, I did a bit of damage with that small push-out. TY seems pretty defensive. I'm going to sneak a 3rd CC in my main and hope that I can get away with this, and I think he will. TY doesn't really seem to have anything brewing right now, actually getting supply blocked, having to make a lot of supply depots, but... I don't think he's going to be able to punish this 3rd CC.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think perspective is the most valuable thing you can give someone, and I think that being able as a fan or as a commentator to see everything omnisciently and see exactly why players are doing what they're doing, you know, that's one thing. But to be in the game and have the wherewithal as Ryung to say, hey, I put TY in a defensive spot. I am going to use this exact position to go for that expansion. Takes a lot of wherewithal, a lot of just instinctively knowing this matchup so well that you know exactly what to do and what will give you the right advantages. Ryung, a TVT mastermind, going for that early expansion, and we'll have an advantage because of it.
Yeah, TY, though, getting the magical scan, seeing right there on the edge that the CC was coming down and actually already completed. So he goes ahead and drops his own at the 3rd base. So he might have that mining a little bit earlier unless Ryung does identify the 3rd is coming and drops his down right away. So TY looking to catch up. Also has the slightly bigger army. By the time he does get across the map, Ryung's should be bigger though. And once again going for the style with lots of Vikings, a couple of Ravens, no medevacs just yet.
And I don't think TY intends for this push to kill Ryung because he is going for double engineering base behind this. Going to just like pile through on the upgrades. But that being said, this is a very scary force pushing out across the map. But both players with relatively large air forces, we'll see which one comes out on top.
It's very close at this point in time. It looks like Ryung has one extra Viking. No, actually, and then move commanding on in. That's really unfortunate. He's going to lose this Viking fight easily after that.
Yeah, much better PDD placement there as well by TY. Really soaking up a lot of those very valuable Viking shots. And wow, yeah, big win there for TY, who does now have complete air control. Will be able to siege crawl his way forward if he so wants to. Now, Ryung going for another trademark flank. Going to be moving on in there, has landed these Vikings, and he's going to try to crush down through TY.
What a sick play.
God,
that is so cool. That takes so much confidence, too, to just say, you know what? He's going to be moving. I'm going to move in right when he's unsieged. He's not going to see me, and I'm going to get him.
Good. Ryung knows this matchup inside, outside, and the other side.
He's got 10 dimensions on this matchup, man. We can't even begin to understand what this guy is doing.
Everyone else says there's two sides to a coin. Ryung just turns coins into like Mobius coins where they only have one and it's the side that he wins on. I don't know.
He bends it into the shape of a Mobius strip. He's like, no, actually, you're wrong.
It's like you take the coin, you spin it around, two sides, and he connects it, and it only has one side. You can't explain that.
Yeah.
But how does it work? I don't know. Mobius was a pretty smart dude.
It's like, what about the third side, the edge side? Oh my God. No one even thought to check there.
Well, actually, if you have like a quarter, you know, it has those grooved edges. Yeah. Maybe that's like infinity sides around it. I don't know.
I think you might be onto something.
I think I'm going a little bit too far.
I think you're smarter than Mobius, actually.
I'm not cool enough to have an umlaut on my name, so can't be that smart. But.
Yeah.
All right, so either way, wow, what a play. Ryung is a super badass. So Ryung did have an earlier expansion. That means that he will be a little bit ahead economically, but he's also translated that into a supply advantage as well. We saw him bust out with 1 billion barracks for a ton of Marines in game number 1, and he's done exactly the same thing this time around, although this time TY has actually matched that in Marine production, so you will see 9 Marines from both, because of course one barracks has a tech lab on it.
Yep, you pretty much summed that up. And we do have a scan coming down here. Ryung is actually set up to do some drops. But looks like he's going to decide against it and just back off. You can see the late combat shield timing this time for Ryung. Both of those guys kind of playing the similar style, focusing on the Air Force first rather than the Marine upgrades. But everything finally getting underway for both these players. It looks like TY doesn't have a second engineering bay, or he just forgot the armor.
He does have a second engineering bay. I did see him building that. Maybe he's just, you know, saving money for something else. Might have missed it, might be coming up with it in a second, but what he does have is a 4th base that is now up and running a little bit ahead of schedule on Ryung, who has his 4th up but unsaturated. And yeah, he just did not upgrade. There it is. Okay, finally starting the armor upgrade, which will be about halfway behind Ryung.
And you can see these guys are even on upgrades right now. Ryung looking to make a move now towards this 4th base, and a really nice position. He's going to be able to take out one of those tanks on the right side. There it is. Going to re-siege, even with the air control. And notice what Ryung does, too. He doesn't stick around like TY to potentially get caught out. He moves into a more defensive position. He took a small advantage, but he's not going to push it too far. We'll see exactly how he wants to engage here in just a bit.
Ryung, the paper cut Terran, taking little tiny advantages and until they are big advantages. And he does have a decent advantage right now, up slightly in the supply, but I think what really is going to matter is this upgrade advantage. As soon as his armor completes for his Marines, once again, TY does not have combat shields for his Marines. I don't think he does. We're going to have to see one once again. I was right last time.
Yeah, I think he just finished upgrading it.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
Got it.
Awesome.
Those 3-3 upgrades for TY coming in right away.
Yeah, really.
Or not TY, Ryung, sorry.
Yep, Ryung is still ahead in that upgrade department. He's just going to get more ahead. 3-3 on the way. And I don't think either player is really going to start the fight before those upgrades are done. Clicking on Marines, as you are wont to do, is going to tell Ryung, hey, I have an advantage. Why don't I just try to make it an even bigger advantage? And he will have that when those do complete. But he will have to survive until then. Looks like TY is getting a little bit antsy.
Really cool thing that TY is doing is spreading out units all over the map. You can see SCVs, one Marine here and there, all along the top side. He wants to make sure that he doesn't get dropped towards his natural, because that would be really devastating if Ryung could just come in at this point in the game with heavily upgraded Marines. You drop, you know, maybe even just 2 or 3 medevacs full, and you can get some pretty sick damage. You can see TY is going for his own drop towards the natural of Ryung. It's coming around the bottom side of the map right now, but Ryung doesn't have that same scouting
information. Oh man, big stems, here we go with the instant retreat from TY. Ryung on the chase, gonna get a lot of cool Viking shots there. I think taking out one of those medevacs, but getting a lot of damage. Here's the double drop though, TY getting a decent amount of damage done, but Siege Tank's in position to defend for Ryung. Big stim on in there, trying to catch TY's army out of position. He's just going to stim up the hill and run right by, getting a great concave on TY's Marines.
Those Marines, though, in the main are still getting damage done, but Ryung, he's got on top of those engineering base. He's going to take out both upgrades.
No 3-3 at any point in time here for TY. Ryung should just back off here. As soon as those 3-3s finish for him, every Marine just kills everything. That's a little bit of an overstatement, but a great decisive move there. Ryung has complete control of TY's natural.
Yeah, the Air Force too is much bigger, so trying to come on in here and stim and take out those Vikings, but they're running into tanks. As TY, it looks like Ryung has just found the chokehold. There's the drop on top of the tanks, and that might just do it for game 2.
Look at Le Supply. It is so in Ryung's favor. Stimming up the hill, running up the hill with no problems. Once again, to quote Sixpence None the Richer, they were probably Terran players too. And look at this, just masterful control. If you want to learn TVT, just watch every Ryung game. You're going to be a badass at it too. He's not going to kill TY with this, but certainly crippling him, and the biggest advantage going to be those 3-3 upgrades.
Yeah, really far behind. Even the +2 vehicle weapons, just to add insult to injury. Down a full set of upgrades across the board.
Yeah, going to be able to take out both of TY's tanks there, and this should be the nail in the coffin that will give Ryung the 2-0 victory over TY.
Whoa, Ryung is such a badass at this matchup, man. He comes on in here, makes quick work of TY, who just looks like he's questioning the meaning of life right now after taking a loss that bad.
So you guys caught me drinking my energy. This is my stim. This is my what did Day 9 call it? Thorn Gristle Pump Juice. That's what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah.
It is very late here, so just keeping the energy up. And for TY, he actually looked maybe a little bit low energy there towards the end, but obviously
low energy, man. Sad.
A little bit
sad.
A little bit disappointed there in that 2-0 loss. But for Ryung fans, wow, what a performance! Just putting on a clinic in how to win TVTs.
Yeah, we don't really have a Terran that's going to be able to go up against this guy. Maybe Innovation can take a TVT against this guy?
I mean, it certainly looks like Ryung is on the fast track, in the fast lane, up to Premier.
Well, I mean, he's 2-2 now.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if that nets him a spot into...
It's going to be close.
I'm not sure.
I think it might be enough for his group specifically, because Hero did get out with a 3-0 victory, which will lessen the requirements to advance for everyone else below him. So I'm not sure exactly how the groups are grouping up quite yet, but we will see in our graphic at the end of tonight. But tonight is progressing onward. We have one more best of 3 before we close things out.
Yeah, and that is going to be Hero versus Beyond. So definitely want to make sure you're watching that one too. We're going to be done with the TVTs tonight, and we are going to have the PVT. But here we go. It looks like Ryung has made it into the second round. In fact, we will be hearing from him on the desk. We'll see if he knows the format.
Or on the chair, as the case may be. Here's Ryung. We'll find out what he has to say about advancing.
I just came here today to have a fun TVT. I was really trying to win, so I'm glad that it turned out much better than expected. I was able to take the easy 2-0. Of course, he was aware of all the odds and the standings, but he didn't want to focus on it because he thought it might affect his performance if he was thinking too much much into it.
허점에 보이면 과감 없이 진짜 막 찌르는 모습도 많았는데 이게 어떻게 좀 마음을 좀 편하게 먹었기 때문인가요? 아니면 좀 의도적으로 이 타임을 죄고 온 건가요?
일단 마음을 편히 먹다 보니까 빈틈 같은 게 많이 보였고.
Now they're asking him, did that attitude or mental state affect your performance tonight?
저희가 이 시간대라서 그런지 모르겠지만
네.
뭔가
Said he definitely had a feeling of
모르겠어요. 느낌이 좀 묘해요.
그죠?
네.
뭔가 다 비워냈지만
네.
자기가 할 거는
like
확실히
relaxed
보여주는, 그런
mindedness.
플레이와 그리고 인터뷰
So
확실히 다릅니다.
allowed him to be extra aggressive and very
본인이 오늘
confident in
2대 0을
his play
이기면서
inside the
그
game.
댁에서 보고
Just
있던
very
황강우 선수가 탈락이 됐어요.
relaxed.
예, 이것도 몰랐죠.
네, 몰랐어요.
아는 게 없어요. 아는 게
Ryung
없어요.
winning
이게
2-0
게
means that Lucero will be eliminated
욕심 없이
from the second round.
그럼요.
Will not make it through.
그럼요.
So
무소유의
sad.
어떤
예, 예.
He says he doesn't really have anything to say about that.
확실히 이런 경기
What I would say is get good scrub. I'm in the second round. I'm going to the
So
fast
BM,
lane,
Brendan.
and you are not. Sorry.
What a bad mannered player. I would
The only
report
Zerg
you.
player in our tournament.
I would send you a nasty retort and block you instantly.
Yeah. Next question. You haven't been super successful up until right now. So what has changed the difference in your performance level?
우리도 너무 조회수, 댓글.
First I was playing Classic and Lucera,
넣어요.
but I felt like I wasn't ready for it. So just the first couple of matches, he felt like he had to get used to it.
각오 한마디 팬 여러분들께 부탁드립니다.
I think he's pretty used to it by now.
So what do you want to say to your fans?
의미를 부여하게 되면 또 경기력에 영향을 많이 줄 것 같아서 지금 하던 대로 좀 의미 없이
Silence.
대회 경기에만 집중할 수 있도록.
He feels like it's a
감사합니다.
huge relief that he actually made it to the second stage.
인생의 경종을 울리는.
But he doesn't want to focus on it too much because he feels like it might affect his performance.
겸상에도 5인분 이상 먹습니다. 네, 둘이
So he's
먹어도.
going to keep going at it the way that he usually does and let the chips fall where they may.
This is where if I was on like a game show like Family Feud, I'd be clapping and saying, good answer, good answer.
김준호 선수와 변현우 선수의 경기인데요.
And that is going to take us to our commercial for our final best of 3 of the night. Here in the SSL Challenge, it's going to be Hero versus Bian coming up next.